In this clip, we're going to learn more about the motion path constraint. So we're going to pick up right where we left off in the previous clip. We created this curve object here, and then we've attached the UFO to the curve itself using the motion path constraint, a nice motion for this UFO. It's following perfectly along this curve, creating a really nice animation for us. But let's take a look at what we can do with this motion path. So we'll go ahead and select our UFO, and we want to go down to our channel box here, and let's scroll down a little bit and open up the motion path here in our nodes, and then scroll down a little bit. So you can see we have a couple different options for adjusting the actual UFO as it moves along this path. We can take a look at some of these twist options. So we have the front twist, which is sort of the side-to-side movement. And keep in mind these twisting options kind of depends on your rig's orientation. So in our case, the front twist actually kind of does the side-to-side. And then we can see we get this sort of back and forth movement on the up twist. And then the side twist does this sort of action for us. But if we want to go ahead and focus on this front twist, we're actually able to create more of a banking type of movement as our UFO travels along this curve. So you can see you have a lot of different options for editing and adding to your animation. Let's go ahead and bring that to a value of 0 for now. What we're going to go ahead and do first off is we're going to open up our graph editor to adjust the overall spacing for this animation. So if we take a look at our animation, we can see that our UFO slowly starts off, picks up speed, and then as it travels through our curve, as it comes toward the end, it slows down. You can see the spacing becomes closer and closer together. But we actually don't want the UFO to appear to slow down as it comes to the last keyframe. We actually want it to just keep its constant speed as if it may be flying off camera. If you had maybe your shot cam facing like this, you want the UFO to continue that constant speed and just fly past whatever camera you have. But by default, it's going to have a slow in and slow out of these motions. The spacing is going to get closer together at the first frame, and then the spacing is going to get closer together again at the last frame, creating this motion. So let's go ahead and edit our curve. So we'll go ahead and pause the animation, go to frame 1, and then we'll go to Windows, Animation Editor, open up the graph editor here, and we want to go ahead and in our graph editor outliner, we want to scroll all the way down until we have this motion path, and we want to highlight the U value. This U value is actually the forward motion for our UFO. We can go ahead and press F to frame in on that curve just to make sure we're framed in on it. We might expand our graph editor just a little bit to see it a little bit easier here. And we might expand it just a little bit more, something like that. So you can see by looking at this curve, we know that the shape that it has now is why it's creating that slow in to the motion of our UFO flying, and then this slow out. It looks like we accidentally snapped that to our UI. We'll go ahead and just drag that graph editor back out, which looks like it's pretty easy to do, accidentally snapping your windows to the UI, but we'll go ahead and keep that out of there for now. So what we want to do is we want to straighten up this curve at the end so it doesn't slow out of this motion. The spacing doesn't become closer together. We want to keep a constant speed. However, it's fine to have this UFO build up its speed as it does now at the beginning of the animation. We really just want to focus on the spacing at the end. So a really easy way to fix this is let's go ahead and just highlight this last keyframe and then just change it up here on the tangent type to a linear tangent, which is going to straighten out that curve for us, which is what we get when using a linear tangent. And now if we go ahead and close the graph editor and then play this animation, you can see that as it gets toward the end here, as it begins to fly through our curve, it's not slowing down at all. It's just keeping a constant even speed all throughout toward the end of the animation, which is exactly what we want. So now that we've adjusted the spacing on the U value, which is basically the forward motion or how the UFO is actually traveling on the path itself, In the next clip, we're going to take a look at some of these twist values, which we looked at very briefly. We're going to go ahead and actually begin to animate some of these twist values to create more of a interesting and appealing flying animation. So we'll go ahead and do that in the next clip.